video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to bring you along while I do a little house project at my house. So when I was younger, I had a bit of an obsession with buying DVDs, and as time went on, I went through different ways of organizing them, and then years went by and I didn't really use them anymore, and I got rid of most of them. Well, I've kind of picked up that habit again of purchasing DVDs, and now I have a bunch of them. I have them all over the house, and I really don't have a place to put them. So I started to research a little bit online and look around on OfferUp and see what people were selling that I could buy cheap to organize these things. And I wasn't really liking what I saw until I saw one of these, and the way they had them set up in pictures was just kind of straight or horizontal. And I was thinking, well, it's better than some of the contraptions they have to store DVDs, and I do have a pretty big blank wall in my living room. So I started to look into it, and one of the listings had mentioned that these were from Ikea, which there's a little label there. It says they're from Ikea. So I did a little Googling, and I found somebody who put these in a manner to where it said film, which I'll show you on the screen now. And I thought that was pretty cool, pretty clever, and I thought that would go well in my living room, so that's kind of why we're here. So I went on OfferUp. I found a few people selling these. Only one of them messaged me back, which I'll be honest, the experience trying to buy these, I had to be pretty aggressive. I mean, I don't know, when I list something for sale, I want to get rid of it, but it seems lately when I've tried buying stuff on our OfferUp, it's just like an inconvenience to them to meet up and let me purchase something from them. So luckily I was able to talk the lady into selling me these, and I picked them up, and they're a little beat up and whatnot, but that's fine because we're actually going to be cutting and welding some of these together, which you could cut, drill, and bolt them together if you didn't have access to a welder, but I borrowed my buddy's TIG welder, so I'll be able to just weld these together, and I plan on keeping them a long time, and as I move house to house, I'll probably bring them along with me. So I'd rather them just be welded together, and then obviously we'll repaint them. So we're going to go ahead and get started on this project. To start off with, I'm just going to go through these, and as you can see, like this one, the bracket is bent at an angle, so I'll put this one aside, and this one will be one that we kind of cut up and use, and then what I'll do is just find the ones that have the best faces that don't have a bunch of grooves and dents in them, and those will be for the main lettering, and then obviously we'll use these for the features on the outside of the letter. But I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, I did pay 40 bucks for the 9 of these, so that's probably what you'll expect to pay in your area for these if you happen to do the same project. But enough talking, let's go ahead and get to cutting. Alright, so this piece has a dent right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to save this end and this end, and we'll use it on the F. So we're going to cut this piece out. We're just going to cut right in here and right in here. Instead of using a marker, I always just use tape. This is just blue painter's tape. If you have electrical tape or whatever else, just don't use duct tape because it'll be super sticky once you pull it off. So all I'm going to do is just take a piece and line it up and just go around like that. And I've just always done that for years instead of using a marker. But if you have a marker, you could do that, but then you've got to use a square and everything to make everything straight. This is just quick and simple to me, because once you have the one on lined up straight, just go straight on, and that's that. So I'm going to go ahead and tape the rest of this up, and then we'll get to cutting. I'm just going to go ahead and remove this one bracket because it's in the way. Don't want to cut into it with the grinder. So get it out of the way, and then refix the tape. Cool, let's get started. Now you could use a hacksaw to cut this. However, I've got a battery powered grinder. It'll just be quicker. Don't forget eye protection, ear protection. So there's one side. Alright, all done cutting the first bunch. This one came out pretty good. now after doing it, I thought about it, you should probably try and leave a little bit extra sticking up and then grind it smooth, but went ahead and did that. I'm welding it anyway, so if there's any gaps I can fill it in. This one I did cut a little low and cut into the piece. Once again, I'll just fill it in with a weld, but obviously if you're bolting this together, you're going to be a little more cautious of that and probably just leave this piece sticking out a little bit, like a 1/16 or an eighth of an inch, and then grind it down smooth with this, which is probably what I'll do on the rest of them. But it's the first time doing it, so trial and error. Now that we've got these cut, these are our last pieces. They are for the M. So as you see on the top, I purposely picked out the corner piece so it can go at the top and look nice and clean. However, on the bottom there's holes. So you could just leave these open, grind it smooth, leave it open. However, since I have a welder, I'm just going to go ahead and fill these in and grind them smooth so it looks just like that on this side. Alright, I've got a sanding disc here. So instead of a regular traditional grinder wheel, this has little pieces of sandpaper, and it helps to not dig into the steel, especially when you're using thin metal like this. So I'd recommend these. However, if you're bolting these together, you don't need to grind them. We're just grinding them to get the paint off so it'll weld easier. Alright, I've got the flapper wheel on. Just going to go ahead and grind all of these, get the burrs and the edges off, grind them down to where it's flush to this, and then also grind in any spot that I'm going to be actually laying a weld down in. Alright, so be careful not to grind down this side and this side too much. It's better to leave them long and you can grind it down when you're fitting it up to weld. So just mostly focus on the middle part there. Alright, so to remedy these holes here, I went ahead and took one of the scrap pieces, and if you could see that, I made cuts. So I made one long cut here, and essentially I'm making little angle irons. So that'll be the width of the opening there. And then I made little cuts, and then now that it's cut, I don't know how well you guys can see what I did here, but that's cut there, these are cut across, and then over into here. So what I'm going to do now is cut along here, and I'll essentially have 4 little angle iron pieces. And then what I can do is set it down inside of there and then weld it up. I have those pieces cut out so you could see it better. Pretty much little angles is what I cut out. So what we'll do is kind of set them up in there like that, weld around, grind it down, and then it should look nice and flat like the other end. As far as the welder goes, I'm going to be using my buddy's Everlast 200D. So this does DC and AC, so you can weld stainless, steel, aluminum, magnesium, and he's got a little push button on here instead of a pedal. So we'll be using this to weld these pieces together today. Alright, so here we go. We have them tacked in. So you can see there. As you can see, I cut into that a little bit. That was the first one we cut earlier. So we'll just have to weld all that in. And then same with the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and weld this stuff up. Okay, got them grinded down, and as you can see, there's some low spots from the piece of metal I put in there. Obviously it wasn't perfectly aligned, so I just got to weld those up and then regrind these down and they'll be all done. Alright, so just got done welding and grinding these up. They turned out pretty good. As you could tell, you can't even tell that there were big holes there. So now all the corners look the same, so now we can go ahead and start welding the letters together. Alright guys, gonna go ahead and throw some paint on it now that it's all welded up. Just starting off with a light coat for now, let it dry for a few minutes. Alright, gonna just keep going coat by coat until it looks the way I want it to. As far as how I'm mounting these on the wall, I went to Lowe's and picked up this. I think it was $6 or $7, but I really don't like the type of screws where they're like a round, bulky end. I like the ones that are flat. So what I did is I looked at what screws this had, which is a number 10 by 1.5, and I bought these for $5, number 10 by 1.5. And it came with 100 of these, so it's more than enough, and this way you have leftover if you need to hang anything else in the future. Alright guys, what do you think? It looks pretty good, but now it's time to fill it up. So let me think and see if it'll fill up if I think hard enough. What's that? It worked? Oh yeah, it did. Cool. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a lot of fun for me to make this. It was a pretty cool project that I think any of you could tackle at home. Like I said, you don't have to weld it together like I did. You could just bolt it together, drill some holes, throw some bolts and nuts through, and there you have it. If you've got a big wall like I did and it's just empty and you need it to fill up, this is perfect for it. And to declutter, it's awesome. I just freed up a ton of space in my closet. I'm really happy about it. I'd like to give a shout out to my girls for helping me film this video. And if you guys don't mind, giving a like on this video, not just for them, but for me and this video and this project. And if it helped you out, please comment down below and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks.